Welcome to Data Science using Python. This video we're going to look at columns and how to grab columns from data frames. We'll worry about rows later. Right now it's mainly the columns. So let's start here with first reading in our data set. So I have this pandas is going to be used. I'm going to be reading the Impulsivity.xlsx, which can be found in the repository. All you have to do is go there and grab it off, download it, and you should be able to follow right along with the exact data set. All right, so the first thing we want to do is look at a bit of the data set. And there's an easy way to do this. All you have to do is what's called .head. So you're looking at the head of the particular data frame. So here you put .head, open parentheses, close parentheses. And if I run this, just this line here, you'll see that over here, it gives me the first 5 rows. Now notice that this indexing over here on the number of rows starts at 0, and that's going to be really important as we go along here. You're going to have to remember what those mean in order for this to work out. All right, so now that we know what this looks like, well, we can do a couple of different ways of grabbing a column. So let's grab one column. So, and I'm just going to have them print out to the console right now, and then we'll write it to a variable here in a minute. So I can just put in the column name. So let's suppose I'm interested in subject. Here, I can put in subject. I can run this, and let's see what happens. So it gave me the entire column of subject. What if I want 2 columns? Well, it seems like you would just put in here imp1 data frame. Here I'm going to do subject, and the other one was age. And if I put in here comma and put in another quotes age, give this a go, see what happens. And sure enough, it doesn't like you. Okay, and the reason it doesn't like you is it's expecting whatever the first argument to be to contain all the information about all the columns that you want to have. So in order to fix this, so we can put here, this is a no-go on this. So here we can try it again, and I'll show you how to fix this. It's really easy to fix. You just have to start thinking like Python. So we're going to grab 2 columns here. Doing the exact same thing, I'm just going to copy and paste this. There's no reason to retype it. Okay, all I have to do is put this, what I'm interested in, the columns I'm interested in, inside of brackets. Okay, so I put it inside of brackets, and if I run this, let's see what happens. It gives me both. And the reason is it's combined these 2 pieces of information, which columns I want, into one piece of information inside of this bracket. Here it sees 2 pieces of information. It sees a column, and then it sees some other thing, and it doesn't know what to make of that. Okay, so if you're going to have multiple columns, you need to add a brace or around them, or bracket around them. So what if we wanted to add more? We're just going to copy and paste this. Let's see here, grab more than one column. We could just simply add on some other things in this. So let's see, what other variables were in here? Well, you can just scroll up and find what, that's why you have head here. Let's say I want to look at TRT and gender, so I'm going to add both of those. And notice that these are not in the same order as over here, because notice that age comes after TRT and gender. But let's see what this produces. I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to run this. And notice that it moved the order around. So whatever order you specify it here is the order that it's going to come over here. And that may or may not make a difference to you, but I usually tell people to keep track of what it's doing so that you're aware of what's happening. All right, so suppose that I want to grab these via numbers. So maybe I don't have names on them. Grab a column using a column number. Well, you have to remember that things start at 0. So imp1df, and then here I'm going to do loc, or iloc. Well, let's see what happens if I just put in 0. What happens if I put in 0? Does this work? No. It wants more than that. So what if I put in a comma with a 0? And you can immediately see that this isn't going to work. Okay, it needs something there. What if I put in this is the wild card. That means give me everything, a colon here. Let's see, will this work? And I run that. And nope, still doesn't like me. And so you have to be careful. You can't just index here like you would think you would. So what if I put these in a bracket? Is that going to make it any better? So let's try it and see what happens. You already get a sense that because this is over here, it says, nah, it's not going to work. Okay. And there are different ways to do this, but let's look at another way. So this is not going to work. Just keep that in mind. Not going to work. Even though it seems like it should if you follow logic of how things work, let's try doing it one other way. So imp1df, and here I'm going to do iloc, and it's looking at the index, okay? So if I do iloc, and I put comma 5, let's see what this gives me. So this is, I'm asking for the 5th column. And sure enough, it gives me the 5th column, I think. Let's go up and look at our data set. Well, or just pull it back this way. You want to make sure that you understand what this is giving you. Because often people make assumptions, and that usually ends up being wrong. So here, notice that the 5th column is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is column 5. You might think this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and p-test is column 5. Remember, the indexing starts at 0, and the 73 is our first number, and sure enough, 73 is our first number. Now, notice it does have the name associated with it down here, and it does tell you what type of data is. It's an integer 64, if that interests you. But the point is that you're going to need to know some other items on how to pull these out. And it works about the same as you would normally try to do this. So let's look at, see if we can't do one more thing before we run out of time here, because I like to keep these things short. And it's already running long. Let's see if I want 5 or 3 through 5. Okay, so this is going to give me connected ones. These columns here. So it gave me columns age and p-test, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice 5 doesn't show up, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because it's starting, it looks at 5 and it says, I don't want 5. That's not what I want. So just be aware of what you're going to get. It's going to give you 3 up to 5, not including 5. Okay, so it's not going to include that when you do this. If you want to specify them specifically, some people do that as well. That's another way that you can do this is, let's see here, colon, and then put in braces 3, 4, 5. If you know you want 3, 4, and 5, and we'll see what this one does. Okay, and it does exactly what I wanted it to do. If I wanted 5 in there, I'd do it 3, 4, and 5, which is a little bit annoying, but remember, it's indexing from 0, and when it looks at this 3 to 5, it's not including 5. It's starting at 3, it's going up to 5, but not including 5. And you have to get that in your mind as you're working through this. Now, what I would recommend you do right now is go back and comment this. What worked, what didn't work, because you need to know what's not going to work as well as what does work, because often logic takes you in a direction where you say, well, that should work. There shouldn't be a problem with that. And then you find out, sure enough, there's a problem with that. All right, so we're going to move on to the next video where we're going to start talking about logic and working with row subsetting, just to get the basics of it down so that as we move through the course, we'll add more and more to it. But this at least gets you working towards understanding how to process data in Python. So I will see you in the next video.